Sandbaggers Case Files, a look back at the best spy show you've never heard of. Sandbagger 2 Mike Wallace finds himself in hot water. In today's episode, A Question of Loyalty. When a defecting Polish scientist named Motyka fails to show up at his appointed rendezvous, Mike Wallace visits the Warsaw station to find out what happened. It seems that, the night before, the station's number 2 conducted a discreet check on Motyka, a flagrant violation of protocol that likely tipped off the Poles to the defection. The reason? The station was worried about losing face if the defector changed his mind. Mike's only option now is to see if he can get Motyka out by force, a risky maneuver called a bust-out. The station chief resists, but an angry Wallace overrules him.
Establish a safe house and open a room.
It's utter madness.
It was utter madness to check a defector within 24 hours of lift.
If Motyka's marked, they'll take you as well.
That had occurred to me.
And we'll be left to clear up the mess.
Sorry to spoil your day.
Mike visits Motyka's flat only to find it empty, and he also finds evidence of a struggle. Leaving the apartment, Wallace is confronted by an officer of the Citizens Militia, but instead of arresting him, he gives Mike an airplane ticket to London, and even knows his name. An angry Wallace returns to Warsaw Station and accuses them of blowing the whole operation because of their carelessness.
If you want to get yourself reported, you're going the right way about it.
Reported? I'm the one who's going to be doing the reporting.
He could cause trouble.
Not if we cause it first.
Let's get a signal off to London.
And cause it first they do. The station chief, Wheatley, sends a personal message to Peele, accusing Mike of panicking and trying to bust out Motyka against station advice. Peele, not surprisingly, is quick to believe it. He tells Burnside that it's just more proof that the special section is out of control. The next morning, Mike returns and explains to Burnside and Willie Kane how things really went down. Burnside takes the story to Peele, but Peele says that he believes the station chief and orders Burnside to suspend Wallace pending an investigation. Burnside refuses and threatens to resign over the order, and he goes to C for arbitration. Burnside succeeds in persuading C to allow Wallace to remain on duty during the investigation, but that will mean that if Peele decides that Wallace was in the wrong, Burnside would go out the door along with him. And as if that wasn't bad enough, C drops a bombshell. Peele himself will be conducting the investigation. Burnside objects, but C gets the final word.
I'm quite confident that the Deputy Chief will be fair and impartial.
Well, I'm not.
Don't push your luck, Neil. You haven't much left.
Understood, sir.
Later that day, C calls Burnside up to his office to brief him on a developing situation in Sweden. It seems that a British businessman in Stockholm may be passing secrets to a KGB agent, and it appears that the station's second-in-command, a rising star named Pat Bishop, may be his source. Despite the delicacy of the situation, Burnside decides to send Wallace instead of Kane as a show of confidence in him. Kane points out that it's a risk that could backfire. To cover his bases, Burnside visits Jeff Ross to ask him to send Karen Milner as a backup. Ross promises to request approval if Burnside agrees to take Milner out to dinner. Over dinner, Milner expresses concern over Burnside's recent display of self-destructive tendencies, but Burnside is in no mood to discuss it.
My Sandbagger 2 could be fired by the end of the week. One of my very best station officers could be doubling, and I'm undermanned to the extent that I've got to ask for your help. That doesn't thrill me at all. I've taken you to dinner because Ross forced me to, not because I wanted to, and certainly not because I wanted to form a Lonely Hearts Club. Now, have you got any more questions?
Are you drinking Coke or vinegar?
After dinner, Burnside returns to the ops room only to get a call from Ross saying that the CIA has denied his request for Milner to provide backup in Stockholm. Burnside assumes it was really due to Milner's anger over his boorish behavior at dinner, and he orders Kane to saddle up for Stockholm instead. However, the next morning, Milner tails Burnside and delivers a cryptic message.
If the Sandbaggers blow it, if Peele listens to Wheatley...
Jeff's worried about me again, is he?
Jeff doesn't know I'm here. That ought to tell you something.
Meanwhile, in Warsaw, Wheatley, the station chief, wines and dines Peele, while in Stockholm, Willie and Mike tail the businessman and the station number 2 to a meeting. However, while the businessman makes his rendezvous, Bishop is a no-show. What changed Bishop's mind? Was he tipped off? Suddenly, Burnside has a flash of realization. Karen Milner's cryptic message was actually a tip. With no further ado, he tells Willie and Mike to come on home. Then he calls C.
I think Bishop's a company man. An agent of the CIA.
In person, Burnside lays out his theory to C. It goes like this. Pat Bishop, the number 2 man in the SIS's Stockholm station, is actually a CIA mole who has been using a British businessman named Victor Littman to pass false information to a femme fatale in the KGB. When Jeff Ross contacted the CIA to request approval to send Karen Milner to back up Willie and Mike on their surveillance of Bishop, that tipped off the CIA headquarters that the SIS was onto Bishop. So they ordered Bishop to skip the rendezvous with Littman and to lay low until Willie and Mike gave up the chase. And that's what Milner was really trying to tell Burnside. The problem is, now SIS needs to find a way to recall Bishop without letting the CIA know that they've discovered he's a mole. Otherwise, they could lose the special relationship. Burnside says he'll think of a plausible story.
You're about to walk a tightrope with the CIA.
I appreciate that, sir.
Well, don't fall off, or you'll take the special relationship with you.
Burnside meets with Ross to spin the story he's come up with. It seems that Bishop was born in Canada and went to school there. Ergo, the SIS now believes, he has been secretly working for the Canadian Intelligence Service all along.
What about Bishop?
Too embarrassing to accuse the Canadians. So if he goes quietly, we'll just put it down to experience.
Thanks for letting me know.
I know. You know I know. I know you know I know. We know Henry knows, and Henry knows we know it. We're a knowledgeable family.
The next morning, Peele returns from Warsaw and reveals the results of his investigation.
I've no doubt at all that Wheatley was lying.
Man's desperate to be the next DAS. Sell his own grandmother, let alone Wallace, to get the job.
Well, we'll make sure that doesn't happen.
Indeed, sir. At the same time, you should do something about the number 2, Sherman. Terrible crawler.
I'm grateful, sir.
Proves I haven't forgotten the old interrogation technique, sir.
Reflecting on the events of the past few days, Kane thinks kindly of Karen Milner's decision to risk her neck the way she did, but Burnside is not impressed.
Get out.
Well, tell me one thing. What's wrong with Karen Milner? Why do you resent her so much?
Because she's alive.
Mike Wallace proves that a Sandbagger 2 can go behind the Iron Curtain and come out alive again. But can Burnside say the same about his own career? In the next episode, Willie and Mike are assigned to protect a United States senator, while Jeff Ross shows off his collection of tinfoil hats. That's next time on the Sandbaggers Case Files.